Hello, my queens. Chin up, crown on. We have a super exciting episode of the Pageant Gal Spotlight here for you today with my good friend and our very brand new, newly crowned, not even a week in the making, Miss Universe Canada, Jaime Vandenburg. I am so stoked to have Jaime on here. I have known Jaime for probably 6-7 years now, and we've been talking online internet friends probably since 2020. We got to compete together at Miss Universe Canada this year, to which my good girlfriend won the title. I think that this is incredible, and we've got so many fun things to talk about, to unpack. So we're gonna bring Jaime on to go through it all, and it's gonna be super fun. So excited. And if you're here, say hello. Say hello in the chat. Let us know that you are tuning in and watching. Say hello. Priyanka's here.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, beautiful. Where are you at right now?
I'm just at my dad's house, actually.
Okay, so you're in Alberta. You're in the country. You haven't gone on jet setting around the world just yet.
Yeah, no, I'm in Lethbridge right now. I'm
Amazing.
just sitting on the stairs. I was trying to find a spot with good lighting.
You're like just right here. Just plop it right down. This is awesome. And show us the sash. Show us the sash.
Ooh. I'm
Amazing.
wearing jeans. I wasn't going to show that I was wearing jeans.
I outed you. I'm sorry. And what most people don't know is that you're actually getting a new crown, right? Like they're making a new crown for this edition for the Sunny era, and it hasn't come in yet. Do you know like when that's going to come in? Because I'm really excited to see it.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm so excited to unveil because it's a very, very unique and special look. And also, it has like a little bit of memory of past crowns. So that's the big secret I'll give away on it. But it sounds like it should be ready within the next, I don't know, a week or two, hopefully. So I'm hoping it can get to me within the next month. Sorry, I'm going to find somewhere better to set this up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, so I want to jump right in because, oh my gosh, we have so many people. People are going to be dropping in questions in the question box. But so, Jaime, you and I've talked about this, but just in case anyone doesn't know, after you can, like, this is your third time competing at MUC. This was my first time competing. You competed back in, I don't even remember when, but it was 2020 was the last time. And then you and I had a phone call because I had just done Miss World Canada. You had just done Miss Universe Canada. And we were like, let's be in cahoots and talk about the systems and see, okay, if we want to go back, which one we want to go back to. And then you went on, you won Miss World Canada. Now you came back. I want to know what made you decide to come back this year to Miss Universe Canada. Like, did you always know you wanted to come back? Why was this year the time to like reemerge?
You know what? I kind of did always know that I wanted to come back. Miss Universe was always my dream at the end of the day. And ultimately, yeah, it comes back to the shooting, you know? Of course, yeah, they extended the age limit. I could have come back at any time. But ultimately, knowing that you never know when your last day is, you're not guaranteed tomorrow. So it really just made me think, like, you know, I should practice what I preach. I should live in the now. Like, I should compete right now. So.
You're like right now, not tomorrow, not next year. And I think it makes sense. Like, did you think about competing last year, or because you also got to remember
Yes.
you're on contract with your modeling agency and with these different jobs. Like, you can't just up and decide, yep, I'm going to go take, a few weeks or a few months off. Like, I'm sure that also played into effect, right?
Yeah, so I actually did think about competing last year because when I finished Miss World, I still had it in me. Honestly, I wasn't. Funny enough, I was more exhausted finishing Miss Universe Canada than I was finishing Miss World.
Mm-hmm.
So when I finished Miss World, I was like, oh, maybe I should go right away. And then I thought, you know what? No, like if and when I come back, I want to give it everything I've got. And I'm still kind of riding the Miss World high. Like I want that to be a very independent experience. And then, yeah, Ashley did incredible. And because I was living in Mexico City, it gave me the opportunity to watch Miss Universe live, which is something I have always wanted to do. And honestly, that really did reignite the fire. Like, okay, I have to compete now. Like, now is the time.
You're like done. What was it like watching in Mexico? Because I watched in El Salvador the year prior, and it was incredible. And I will say, I think going to El Salvador was probably just an overall better production year. But what was it like to go in person in Mexico for your experience?
Oh, it was crazy. So, first of all, before I even got there, I already had it in my mind. You know, you're a pageant queen. You know how planned you have to be. So I already had it in my mind. Okay, if I return, like I need to make a good impression. I cannot show up looking anything other than already a winner. So actually, the day that I went for prelims, I went and shot with one of my favorite photographers, Fernando Dumas, and I had him do my hair and makeup. I rented a dress from CDMX Dress Rentals, a really nice Albina Dyla one. And I was like, you know what? If I'm going to put in all this energy to look good, let's get a headshot done. Let's make it all happen so that if that's where I want to go, I'm already ready. So I had all of that done the day of prelims. And then when I got there, I went with my roommate and a guy that she was seeing at the time, and it was electric. I ran into Louis Portelis actually when I was going, and I felt so starstruck because he's a massive pageant blogger I've been following for a long time. And I remember just being like, oh my God, he looks exactly like he does on Instagram. Because sometimes people look totally different. And I just remember being like, oh my gosh. And then seeing the huge stage and the crowd. And it was amazing too, because Mexico City, I was able to also catch up with some of my Miss World sisters who were there. I got to see Adele, who was Miss Finland, as well as Alejandra, who was Miss World Mexico. And she's also competing for Miss Universe Mexico. So I want to give her a shout out right now on that one.
Shout out everyone. It's funny, I was watching Louis's channel today on his YouTube channel because I didn't know he was going to recap Miss Universe Canada because I still haven't watched the whole dang show just yet because it's a long show. I need to like sit down and watch and like get my own notes out. But it's incredible. And I love the way that you thought because I was the same way. Like I went to Elizabeth Noel, which is a dress store 2 hours away from me. I was like, what is the most expensive gown you have in this store? And they loaned it to me to go watch Miss Universe because that's the mindset you want to have, right? You're like, I'm not just going to watch a pageant, I'm going to Miss Universe. I want to show up and show out. I'm not just going to wear, off the rack per se. I mean, you can, right? Like nobody's going to criticize you for doing that, but you get the mindset. You want to start planting that seed, and girl, like you started doing that, and I love to see it as well. Like you kind of notice the trends because Madison did the same thing her year too. Except I think the pageant Miss Universe was in the US, so it might have just been a little bit easier to go to. But she did the same thing. And in my mind, I was like, this girl's going back to Miss Universe Canada even before she announced it.
Yeah, I had been thinking about it for a while. And then actually after that, of course, you have this like post pageant high where you're like, I'm ready, let's go right now.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, I did also have this kind of part of me that I was like, well, I got some new modeling contracts, some acting contracts. I moved to Istanbul. And so when I was working in Istanbul filming 16-hour days, like back to back to back, I remember thinking like, I'm so busy. Like maybe this isn't my year. And when I come back, I really want to give it everything. And so I was actually like kind of like half in, half out.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I finished my first month in Istanbul, I was just like, it's time. Like I have to do it now. And so I ended up leaving Istanbul early, and that gave me the opportunity to really like go 2 feet in. And it was crazy because for me, thinking that I think the 2 months, I knew I'd be traveling for 3 weeks. So it was really a month and a week. And I remember thinking like, that's insane. How could you possibly prep for MEC in that amount of time? And then seeing you win Miss Via Italiana, I was like, if she can do it, I can do it. We can all crunch this. It'll work out. So I'm curious, how did you feel? Because you are an absolute pageant pro coming into it with that's got to be the least amount of prep time you've ever been given for a major pageant, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when I competed for Miss World Canada back in 2020, and they actually postponed the pageant because of COVID, I think at that point I'd had like 10 months to prepare, which is more than enough. But it's funny, I feel like we're all kind of pacing each other. Like we're all, even though, you might have known that you wanted to do it, you really only get your butt in gear usually around like the 3 month mark it starts to hit. But for me, it was go mode. It was like, we cannot overthink. We can't even think about a decision. We just have to make fast decisions. And I think that really helped me be able to be like, I can't get a new national costume right now. We're wearing one that we already got. Oh, I really love this gown. Let me ask my coach. Let me ask my team. They love it. Awesome. Let's buy it. Oh, we have options. Like it was just fast decision making, which that's partially why like some women it takes them 6 months. It's just because you give yourself 6 months, but you could probably do it in 6 weeks. You would just be having to make those fast decisions. So it just felt like a really intense time. Like when I say my hours were planned hour to hour, that I was on my calendar with appointments and calls and training, that's exactly what it was like for 6 weeks. But it's only for a short amount of time. So you just do it and you're like, it's okay. I'll catch up on sleep. I'll catch up with friends afterwards. And people understand the prep, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so crazy too, because I think both you and I going into it had a lot of pressure, and maybe especially you because you're also a coach. I know there must have been just a massive weight on you to perform. How did you feel? I guess going in with all that pressure, but at the same time having ridiculously little time to prep.
Yeah, I felt really good. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of go, you have to go when you're at Miss Universe Canada, at least when you're going to Miss Universe, and maybe for the other systems too, but this one definitely, you have to hit delusion. Like you have to go there. You have to be like, I've got this. Like I can totally do this, because otherwise the alternative is that overthinking mindset, that overwhelm, that what if I don't? And I'm really glad that even with the outcome that happened, I really didn't doubt myself along the way. It was really full force. No, like I can actually do this. I can get behind myself being the one who comes out on top, and I can do it. I'm going to prep this way, because the other side of it is that you're half in, half out the whole time, and you're always worrying and always wondering. And I will say there were some girls throughout the week who I had conversations with who did worry, who were in their head. They might have placed higher than I did, but I will say I didn't have those same doubts throughout the week. I truly had a great time. I know I looked good. I know I was showing up and showing out. And even though like the outcome wasn't what I wanted, like for my brand and business, I knew that there was going to be a way I'd be able to spin it, even though I didn't see it right now, like at that time. But now I'm starting to see like the other side where women are like, oh, you can go to this big pageant, compete, not place, and still have a great time and still make incredible connections and still support the dang winner, who that's what like this is all about. Like one person gets to win. How can we elevate ourselves along the way anyways, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah. And Miss Universe Canada, I have to say, this year compared to other years, it was crazy. So even having the experience of competing in past years could have never fully prepared either one of us for what it was this year. Because, I mean, of course, the last time I competed was in the pandemic.
mm-hmm.
So everybody did the best they could, but all things considered, we weren't really allowed to go to galas. We weren't really allowed to do half the things we did this time. So yeah, I have to say, like, kudos to Sunny and the entire Beauties of Canada team, because it was such a difference from one to the next.
Yeah, I would have been, I keep saying I would have been so jealous. I want to know, what was your favorite part of the week? I know you mentioned you got like 8 hours of sleep total, which, yep, pretty much same. That's pageants. Like you're up, these are late nights, and then you're up early to get ready for the day. But what was your favorite part of this week, knowing that we actually got to have like a full pageant week?
You know what? I'm crossed because, of course, I have like favorite events. Like, I really, really love the Somerset event,
Mm-hmm.
going to the mall and like being able to cross the border with the girls. Like, come on, that's crazy cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that was obviously a massive highlight. But in my own personal experience, I really, really liked. I can't remember exactly which day, but we did this a couple of days. Like me and Rihanna, one of the other delegates, we got together at like 2 or 3 in the morning and like threw on our prelim gowns the hallway. Even though, of course, yes, you should already have worn the dress, you should have done all these things. But my journey was a little bit crazy in the sense, like, I didn't have all my gowns until I got there. And I owe a absolutely massive shout out to Akash because they saved me on so many occasions. They came in absolutely clutch on my national costume. But then they were also going to be lending me a dress for the garden gala. And then when I saw the dress, I was like, this is too good. I'm going to wear it for prelims. So things got switched around. And then, of course, yeah, like these moments where it was like 2 or 3 in the morning, me and Rihanna have our dresses in the hallway and we're just, when it's like really authentically like girl time and we're not in our makeup anymore, like we've washed our face and we're like down in the hallway. Okay, is this going to look cool or is this going to look weird? I guess we're going to find out. And especially like in the end, I ended up like taking off my overskirt and prelims and I wanted to get a little bit crazy. I really, as a part of this journey, I wanted to separate myself from the Miss World narrative. I wanted to put myself in the branding of Miss Universe. So I did want to be a lot more bold and a lot more sexy on stage. And that was something that I was like, okay, I need to practice this because it'll either look cool or it'll be a flop. And I want to be a flop.
I remember afterwards you said, you're like, I don't know if they felt like my personality. You're like, I don't know if that was unique enough. I'm like, Jaime, you took off half of the dress and threw it off the stage. I'm like, I don't think that is in the realm of being in the box. And I just want to speak to this because literally throughout the week, you all, when I say, I'm going to make a statement here and everyone can like quote me on this. this was Jamie's year. Like when I know we don't know, like, and maybe you don't feel that, right? Because like you said, you're like, I didn't have a lot of time. I was putting in the effort. I was doing the photo shoots. I had to go here and do this, and this was last minute, and I was doing this prep. But like on the other side, you kind of always look to like one person who you're like, I hope that you get it because I know you'll do really well throughout the year and at Miss Universe. And being there in person, like seeing the way that Jamie was prepping and showing up, and it was like magical to watch. I was taking notes for other like clients in the future because I was like, that's how it's done. Even like the practice at 2 o'clock in the morning, girl, I was sleeping at 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay. I was not practicing, but it's like, get the practice in, like do what you can to get those. And I have to speak to the fact that this girl right here, Jamie, I don't know how you did it. You wore heels the entire time. There was not a time, a very, very few moments when you were not in your wedges, when you were not in heels. And let me tell you, that was a journey. I won't out you with this, but Jamie had a foot ailment that could have been a really easy way that you're like, nope, I'm going to wear flats. I'm going to be comfy. But like you came from the era, like you said, where everyone was like, you have to be on, you have to wear heels, you have to have your hair, your lashes, your makeup done. And did you sense that that was like that this year? Or were you just like, I just want to represent that because that's my roots of pageantry, where you're always on, and that's how Miss Universe is too?
You know what? No, I did. Yeah. You know, we had a discussion about this because I started in pageantry in 2014, and that was the era. Like, you cannot get caught out of heel. You cannot get caught in full, like, out of glam. And even if they have the glam team and everything, you will not catch me without makeup. You will not catch me without my hair being a little bit done. So I did very much want to stay true to who I was from the beginning of my experience. And that was being like ready to go all the time. But I think I also really link that to who Miss Universe Canada would be and who Miss Universe would be. I don't think Miss Universe would get caught like in pajamas or something at rehearsals. No, no,
Mhm.
no, no, no. Like she's gonna look like the winner from day and throughout the entire competition. So yeah, it was kind of like a merriment of like my roots in pageantry to dress for the job you want, not the job you have.
Yeah, I love it. I forgot that you started back in 20, I'm like thinking 2016. No, this was 2014, like true. That was like the Olivia Jordan era. That was like the pageant era, like very glitz, very glam. And you started at Miss Universe Canada, or I know you competed 3 times. What was the first time?
My first pageant was Miss Teenage Alberta, actually,
Oh,
but I
mhm.
did teen, and the very next year I hopped into Miss Universe Canada, which, oh, come on, like, what was I doing at 18 thinking I had any business being there? But whatever, you know,
Did
it
you
was
place
always
that
a
year?
learning experience.
Did you place that year that you
Sorry?
competed?
No, of course not. And you know what? I also have to say, like, a massive thank you to Dennis Davila because he was the director at that time. And he did one thing that I've always remembered being the cutest thing ever. Because, of course, you go into it, and especially coming out of teen, I was second runner up, so third place. And then to not have placed at all, I was like devastated.
Mhm.
But I remember, like, us girls who didn't make the top 20, we went back to this massive dressing room and we went back in there. I think it was like 2 litters of golden retriever puppies in the dressing room. And like, that's how fast I forgot that I didn't place. I was just like, oh my God.
I could have done with some puppies afterwards in the dressing room. I wouldn't have mind. Sunny, I'm gonna pitch that. I'm gonna put that in like the suggestion box for next year. But it's cool to know because like, when I think about other girls like Nova, Alyssa, Ashley, like a lot of these girls, the first time they competed, they didn't place. So I feel like I'm kind of, I'm in good company when it comes to the first time you compete. There's so much growth to do. There's so much you don't know, no matter what age you're at, whether you're at 18 or 28 or 38, there's so much to know and to learn. And pageants have changed so much since then, but at the same time, like there still are some of those consistencies when it comes to, the style of pageant. Miss Universe is Miss Universe, right? Like you still gotta make sure that you're bringing the Miss Universe brand, which I saw you do, and other people are in the comments and they're like, yeah, Jamie was bringing it. And I don't even think you showed a lot of like the fits that you had online. Like I was just living it up behind the scenes as a fan. I was like, people don't even know what this girl is bringing. Like you look like you belonged at Miss Universe. I was like, is this Miss Universe Canada or Miss Universe? So if that's your fits for now, I can't even imagine what you're going to be planning and preparing for a couple months from now in Thailand, honestly.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to bring it. And that just comes back to like representing the brand. And that I think is one of my biggest strategies in pageantry, which I know as a pageant coach, you will have your strategies too. One of mine is, yes, dress for the job you want, not the job you have, but I want that to be reflected in every part of my competition. So even when we think about my top 5 speech, like I studied the Miss Universe website. I wanted to look at what words are they using the most, because I don't want them to think, oh, how would she speak if she was Miss Universe Canada, or how would she speak if she was Miss Universe? I want them to know, like, guys, locked in. I know the branding. Okay, transformational leader. Like, these are hot words that I wanted to use in the way that I'm speaking. So they didn't even have to think, what would I be in that role? No, baby, I'm already in that role.
Oh, that gives me like chills all over my body. Do you have like was there another thing that you did that was kind of like that? Like, for example, when I was planning out certain pieces of content or certain pieces of wardrobe, I was thinking about certain Miss Universes that I was basing it off of, and I ended up sharing them on my stories. Like, one of them was an Urbany reel that I did. One of them was like a Shane Nice reel. My prelims gown, I called it the Catriona versus my finals was the Pia. And even just doing that made me feel like all kind of warm and fuzzy on the inside. Just nobody's going to know about it in the moment. It's only really you that does it, but you feel like this connection to the brand. I'm wondering if there was another piece of that you did aside from studying it and having it in your wording. Did it show up anywhere else that maybe you haven't told anybody until now?
I mean, yeah, I did also reflect on past queens. We've had some style queens come through like Arbany, but then we've also had some very elegant queens like Victoria. But one thing I also did want to do is I wanted to keep everyone guessing the whole way through. I wanted to be something to be talked about. Whether it worked, whether it didn't, I didn't care. I wanted to be talked about. So when it came to my styling, the first day I came in like big curls, very classic look. But that second day in, let's risk it for the biscuit. I dyed my hair brown for the second day competition. I threw in a massive ponytail. I wasn't sure how that was going to be delivered. I went with a pretty sexy lace jumpsuit kind of a thing that I was also thinking, if this doesn't hit right, it could come off maybe a little bit tacky or maybe too sexy. But you know what? At the end of the day, if there's one place where you can get crazy with fashion and you can get campy and you can get wild, it's going to be Miss Universe Canada, and it's going to be Miss Universe, because of course that is the one place you can pop off. So yeah, when I came in with this crazy big ponytail, the red jumpsuit, and dyed my hair brown, which I was so scared that wasn't going to come out, then I also had to think, okay, how am I going to elevate this into my next look? Because I think I was also pretty notorious for changing my looks, like hair, everything throughout the day. So yeah, starting with this giant ponytail, then I had to change it for the garden event, which this was actually kind of cute because I had been sent actually, like, I had the sweetest fans out of Mexico. My heart goes out to Mexico because I had people sending flowers, people from my hometown, helium balloons, bears, things like that. And I wanted to incorporate all of that love and support into my performance. So putting flowers and putting real flowers in my hair and transforming that ponytail into a braid, that kind of came to me in that moment because I had all these flowers in my hotel room. And I also wanted to link in, like, where are we going? We're going to Thailand. I want to show Thailand. I want to show fan support. And that's what I was really channeling in my garden event look, which again was the day that I turned my hair brown. So it's a little bit crazy because I remember I even had people coming up to me that day like, oh my gosh, like, I thought you were somebody else. Like, what, don't you have blonde hair? And I'm like, yeah, baby, but let's keep talking about me,
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. This, like, when I remember Alyssa Boston in one of our trainings, online trainings, had said, there's the part of pageantry where everything matters, and then there's the part where nothing matters. And I am a diehard everything matters. Like, that's the type of person, that's the type of pageantry, that's the type of competitor that I want to see go all the way. Like, yes, obviously you can come off the street, you can just be a natural beauty, you can just show up and, be able to go all the way to the top. Sure. I'm sure it can happen because the minute we say it can't, someone's going to go and do it. But I want the person who's looking at every detail, who's changing up their looks, I'm like foaming at the mouth because I'm like, what is going to come next? Like, I just want to see what you're going to pull out. And if, like, that's the performance you're giving at Miss Universe Canada, that's what we want at Miss Universe, when it's not just a conversation of who's the fan favorite, right? We saw that with Denmark last year. It was like, who's the person that's keeping our attention, that's holding us and keeping us guessing. And I'm just like, my girl Jaime is going to do that for sure.
Absolutely. No, I'm really excited. And yeah, I mean, Miss Universe Canada was a taste test. If you think turning my hair brown was crazy, like we're gonna get crazier. Like I
It was.
want every day to be an opportunity that we're talking about Canada. And like I said, hopefully they're all hits.
Yeah.
But even if it's a miss, you're still talking about me. That's why they say all press is good press.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely the mantra I'm going into it with. But at the same time, it's also been a very surreal experience because, of course, I want to raise awareness for gender-based violence. And that is a very real and lived experience that I've had. So one of the most common questions I've been asked since the crowning moment was, how did it feel? You know, you had 10 years into this and you finally got this big moment. You must be so excited. And that's where, you know, I want to be very real and I want to be honest throughout the whole experience. And honestly, the way that it was for me wasn't what I expected. Because unfortunately for me, facing trauma means when I face something that feels so unreal or so impossible to me, I often disassociate. I honestly become a little bit numb. So my body and my brain and my amygdala is not able to tell necessarily if it's like, this is unbelievable because it's great, or this is unbelievable because it's awful. And so, unfortunately, I will say, like, once I got called into the top two, I was numb. Like, I had already been like disassociating because even making it to the top two felt so unreal. Because the last time I competed, I was second runner up, you know? So being able to have done better than I did last time was so shocking to me that I kind of disassociated. So then the whole crowning moment, it kind of reflects on overcoming this trauma in the way that overcoming trauma, what does that mean? Because when you're a survivor of violence, you're always a survivor of violence, and that always follows you, and it's a part of your life whether you like it or not. So this overwhelming happiness, I always thought I'd cry, but I didn't feel it the way that I wish I could have. So that's been also a little bit as to why I've been a little bit more quiet on social media since the win, because I want to take in the experience. And because I've survived trauma, I tend to take things a lot more slowly. So being able to be with myself and come back to who I am, back to my hometown, and really sink in the moment has been like almost like a slow build of a success for me.
Yeah, you're allowed to do that. And the thing too is people think like, oh, she faced this like when we think about trauma or like the stories that some of these women had, it's often an upbringing that they had. This just happened. Like this wasn't like 10, 15 years ago. This was just in the last like 5 years that this happened. So it's still very real. And to bear that to the world in a huge way. And I will say, I'm not a fan of like super crying, emotional, like crowning moments. I love a woman who is like, I've done this, I'm in my power, I'm excited, I'm happy, but I can still like smile and get that picture, that crowning moment picture. But you also just came off of like a whole week of no sleep, pretty much. The excitement, the high, the adrenaline, the wondering like, did I do good enough? Was this good enough? Like all that questioning, like you also, despite win or lose, deserve time to decompress and have your moment. And now it's like, girl, you don't even get a break. Now, oh, guess what? 3 months from now, you're going to be in Thailand. So you have to go back into all of that. My girl's allowed a week. She's allowed a week to like decompress and think about her feelings and her emotions and how it goes. Because of course you're grateful. You didn't put in all this work to not be like the most excited and grateful that you've been, but it's a lot. And it's something that not everyone will understand because not everyone has been at that level of media, success, press, and all that. So I think you're doing amazing with it, girl.
Oh, thank you. I'm definitely going to get back posting online. And this was kind of my kickstart for that because you know what? There's nobody I was more excited to do a live with than you. When I saw your stories and just like, Maria, your authenticity. I just want to come on here and say Maria is the exact same person in a competition as she is out of a competition. And that is honestly really hard to find sometimes. So I really just appreciate you to your core. Like you are just so authentic through and through. And it was nice to know, even though we had never met in person, I knew I had a friend going into it because you were there. And I just, man, I appreciate you so much.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. I love that we got to spend the week together. And truly, when I say, I'm like, I'm not the type of person who's going to come out of competition and be like, this is what really happened. I'm like, no, like, this is my friend. I'm not going to snap. Like, I'm genuinely going to support the people that I was supporting before, that I was supporting throughout, that I was supporting afterwards. And the fact that we get to do this and just talk about things that people don't see because they weren't there, I think provides that extra level of understanding. And I don't want to keep you too long because, girl, I know that you have so much to do, but I want to know what is in, two more questions. What is in store like for Miss Universe? Have you guys already started team meetings? Do you have your national costume underway? Do you have like sponsors and connections? Like how much of that has already started to ramp up?
Okay, so we've definitely started talking national costumes, but I don't want to give too much away other than that it is going to be extreme and it's going to be so Canadian. So I'm really excited for you guys to see that. As far as team meetings goes, yes, we've had a couple of calls and we're kind of just trying to make a really good game plan because of course I'm also always on the move, but because I have residency in Mexico and I have the opportunity to work and base there, and it is a massive pageant country, I do want to make sure I spend some time in Latin America, really connect back to that roots too. I've also talked about hiring a full-time Spanish teacher. I really want to perfect that because of course I'm still learning. I've only been in Mexico for like 3 years. So I really want to perfect it. I know that's going to be an absolute asset and I want to connect the best I can with my Latin American audience because they have been championing me from way back in my Miss World era. And I am so grateful for the support that I've gotten from there.
Yeah, the world down there, like this is what they do. Like they do pageants, they get it. Of course, Miss Universe was just in Mexico, so I'm sure you'll have a lot of connections and supporters that if we can use that as Canadians where we don't necessarily have those connections as readily available, do it. I'm excited to hear about this national costume and see it on stage. But the bigger question, and I think for a lot of women that are going to tune into this who are thinking about competing next year or the year after, what is your biggest piece of advice for them based on your experience, knowing that everyone's going to go through something a little bit different? But what is the advice that you have to them to start preparing, even if it's mentally or strategically now for the competition? What can they do? What can, you impart wisdom onto all of us?
Well, the most important thing is knowing your why. When girls come in and they feel stressed about the question, why should you be the next Miss Universe Canada? You're not ready.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're starting your prep now, you're starting a year out, even 6 months out, even 6 weeks, it doesn't matter. You need to know your why. Why are you here? Why do you want this platform? Why does your voice need to be amplified? And what cause are you bringing to light? Because if it's just because you want the glory or the anything like that, you're like, no, you're not. So, and I know that's something that you champion a lot through Pageant Gal, knowing your why are you here? That is everything. So get working on it, I guess.
A woman after my own heart. I literally couldn't have said it better myself. And you do know that, and that is why you shined so bright. Is there anything else that you want to share, that you want to say in light of the fact that you're about to be on your 1 week crown anniversary? It's crazy to think like this time last week, where were we? We were about to go to, oh my God, in interviews, and then we were about to go eat some tabbouleh, some delicious Lebanese food, and then we were doing a yoga practice so that we could have finals. I'm like, why can't that be my life right now? Why can't I do interviews again and then have tabbouleh? I could, it's down the street from me. I could literally go. But anything else that you want to share or say that maybe we didn't get to just yet?
No, just a massive thank you to the Miss Universe Canada organization. I was really blown away by the level of care of everything. Thank you to all the sponsors, Somerset Mall, Portia and Scarlett, like all of the food sponsors. I mean, Macro Foods, you guys probably made me put on weight, but I'm still here for it. It really takes a whole community, and I want to give my deepest thank you to even the city of Windsor. Every little thing that came together meant the world to us, and all of the sponsors, really, Esteem Medical Clinic, Beauty Supply Windsor, there's so many. So really, the other thing I would say to future delegates is pay attention who has supported it, because you never know what familiar faces might come back. So definitely support the sponsors who've supported us, because if you're trying to wear this sash next year, you want to make note of who has been supportive.
Oh, spoken like a true queen. I could talk to you literally all day about this, but I'm sure that you're so busy with all of the things going on. I know I'm going to be following and tuning in. I've had some thoughts about I could probably go to Thailand again this year, but I don't know if we're going to make that happen. But either way, I've been a Jaime fan through and through. Like anybody who's wondering, like, what did this girl do? Like, watch the performance from 2 scarf changes on stage to throwing her train in prelims. Like Jaime, you came prepared, you showed up and you showed out. And when I say like it's an honor to lose to someone who is truly on the pitch of their best game, like that is what good sportsmanship is about. And I'm glad that it went to someone who I get to consider a friend and that we got to talk to about this. But I'm sure we'll have more connections in the future and breaking down all your Miss Universe adventures.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for doing this live. And thank you to everybody who tuned in.
Love you all. Love you, Jaime. Bye, everybody.